everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. We are on the test server for Raid Shadow Legends. Big shout out to Plarium, as always, for letting us take part in the test server and show you this stuff, part of the content creator program. But today we're looking at Supreme Athel. Is she as absolutely terrible as everyone seems to think that she is? Well, let's find out. There's only one way to find out, and I've got some fun ideas. We're really going to be building into her whole frost theme for Arena and seeing if we can make anything work or if it's as bad as it seems. So, Supreme Athel. Let's take a quick look at her kit. So, her A1, single target attack. Now, if there are enemies under freeze, it will do an AoE attack, or, well, repeat the single target attack on them, I suppose, more accurately. It will decrease enemies' attack by 3% every time you hit an enemy with this skill, stacking up to 30%, and increase Athel's attack by 3%, stacking up to 30%. Kind of an interesting move. This definitely points towards her being better for longer fights, which is certainly interesting. Attack-based nukers, typically not the sort of champion you associate with longer fights. So we'll see how it works, and we'll see how this AoE thing comes into effect. Is it any good or not? Cold Company, then, her A2, books to a 3-turn cooldown. It's an AoE attack. It ignores Strengthen, Ally Protection, and Unkillable buffs on enemies under freeze. And after that, will then place freeze for 1 turn as well. Kind of unusual here too. So she's a freezer, but you're going to need somebody else to freeze, really, for her to activate these ignore mechanics. Then she does freeze afterwards. I guess the nice thing is that she freezes afterwards, so it does mean that Resurgent Mastery and stuff, I believe, is not going to remove this freeze because the damage has already happened. So at least there's that. And certainly we're going to be probably looking at building with her with accuracy so we can use this. Her A3 Ever Faithful is a 4-turn cooldown, puts 50% increased attack, 30% increased crit rate, and a shield on this champion for 3 turns, and gives an extra turn, the value of the shield proportional to this champion's attack. So this is, I think, kind of interesting, and there's a couple of things I think have some potential here. I'll just spoil it for you right now. I think that where this champion might kind of shine, I think, is not really in Classic Arena or Tag Team Arena, but maybe when it comes to Live Arena, maybe she could be a bit more viable there. It's possible. As an attack champion that brings some tankiness, provides their own increased attack, and the freezing as well. You know, like, this stuff is a real problem in Classic Arena where, well, you can just bring in Arbiter and it's fine. Enemy teams can be running cleansers and block debuffs. But when it comes into a drafting phase in Live Arena, you can only pick specific champions. You can't have dupes. I believe you can pick champions away from the enemy team. You can ban champions away as well. Maybe there's some potential. We'll have to test her. We'll test her out though today, and we'll see. But this move has some potential. And an interesting passive as well. Frosty Glare. 15%, that books to a 30% chance of placing freeze on attackers for 1 turn when hit while under a shield, and a 35 that goes to a 50% chance of placing freeze on all enemies for a turn whenever a shield buff on this champion is removed by damage, which again is certainly intriguing. We've got that problem as it is right now in Arena, Classic Arena, or Tag, where people will be bringing in block debuffs and cleansers, but again, maybe in Live Arena, where you can ban their cleanser away, maybe there's more potential. We'll see. She has a 35% attack in Arena battles aura, which isn't great and definitely points towards her being an Arena champion. So we shall see. So, how have I built her? What have we done? I've put her in Lethal and Perception gear, and we've put her in pretty good gear as well, guys. We have Lethal is going to massively up our damage with that Ignore defense, and Perception is going to give us some of that accuracy to actually land these freezes. We put this together, and what I've done is I've given her a fairly high attack, 5.6k. She's got very good base attack, to be fair. I've got her at around 200 speed, so that she'll be good for Doom Tower, and again, be cycling through her moves, getting that crowd control out pretty often. 70% crit rate. We're going to leave that low and let her increase crit rate buff do the work. 248% crit damage, which is high, and 455 accuracy, which is quite high. I actually think I'd be aiming for probably around 350 accuracy, where you basically go, if they want to build resistance, they're just going to resist her. That's the way it is. But for any champion that doesn't build resistance, or for any champion that, you know, maybe he's picked up, you know, 200 or 300 resistance, you want to have enough accuracy to get through that. But it's just not going to be feasible to get past champions that are properly stacking resistance. They're going to have 500, 700 resistance maybe. That's very difficult to get through, but it's not necessarily super common. I actually have her with pretty high accuracy because I do have a pretty good accuracy with lots of attack percent on it for a banner. That's reaction. So that's going to be kind of clutch there. And you can see the pieces of gear that I've got. Generally speaking, we're looking for stuff with accuracy, attack, speed on it as well. It's pretty good. Crit damage, crit rate. We've got a nice pair of gloves here with triple accuracy roll, attack with lots of HP. So we've got some defensive stats too. And I think that's kind of interesting as well. Actually, I do. Rings not great, unfortunately. I just don't have that many good rings. Great necklace though, with 3 rolls and accuracy. That's good. Some of these defensive stats might be good, right, to get more value out of the shield, especially. So we shall see. For her masteries, we've built her like so. Let's turn me off. That's the easiest way. Obviously, grabbing the crit rate stuff, we're going to get more damage to the first hit on each enemy, more damage to targets with freeze, because she's hitting people with freeze and doing extra stuff. More damage for every debuff, because she's probably going to get debuffs. Of course, we're going to get Helm Smasher for that extra ignore defense to make her actually do some damage. And then picking up some extra accuracy over here. Then I figured we might as well grab this, extend her increased attack and shield and crit rate and stuff. She should have it up basically all the time, but why the heck not grab this increase? To be honest, there's not really much else to grab. So why not? Let's go for it. So yeah, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do, guys, let's do a quick little damage test here, right? Just so you can see it visually. We obviously don't have her in the exact same gear that I used for Supreme Athel. We're actually an entirely different gear, but with similar stats. We'll put on the increased attack. Here we go. Let's slow it down. So she's going to come in. Cool animation, by the way. Bam. And there is the freeze. There is the damage. And she came out and she's done about 482,000. This is lower, right? So we did this with Rhonda. We did this with Supreme Athel. All in, I'd say, pretty comparable gear. They were doing about 600,000. So there's a pretty big difference. If we come over to Hell Hades, you can see the damage multipliers. We have a 3.8 multiplier on her AoE. Now that does get 25% damage from books. So there's an extra 5% compared to, let's say, Supreme Athel is sort of the current comparison. But Supreme Athel was coming in with a 4 multiplier, kind of cancelled out by the books. But then Supreme Athel had an additional 20% multiplier from her passive, and then an additional 10% multiplier per debuff from her thing. So very simply, Athel does not hit anywhere near as hard as Athel. There's going to be quite a big gulf between them. She still hits hard, but not as hard. Her A1 you can see is a 2.7, and that has a 30% damage from books. Single target is not that big. It's an okay AoE, but it's not crazy. So like the damage is not going to be totally crazy here, guys. It's not going to be totally crazy. But what can we make her do? Well, I think the first thing to make her do, which I think is going to be interesting, is let's just see her in campaign farm. Can she campaign farm? Is she any good? So same team we were using for this. We're just going to throw her through some PvE content first to see how she does. So how does she do here? Interesting, she starts with her AoE, and you can see I've got her in good gear, but it's not enough to consistently one-shot that wave. But then she comes in, buffs herself up with her A3, and then she actually does AoEs because she's frozen the wave. We're coming back in. These champions we've got with us are fairly fast. She's popped the shield on, and when she puts it on, the shield on and the increased attack and crit rate, she actually kind of wrecks the waves. We're coming through, and she's gone down. So, yeah, campaign farmer. Is Supreme Athel going to be good? I don't really think so. She's not got zero potential, but her AI is not super smart. And yeah, although she does give herself a shield and she has the AoE freeze, it's just not quite consistent enough. She really doesn't compare to Supreme Athel, let me put it like that. When it comes to Minotaur, though, I actually found that she's very good for this. So let's do this run right here. So when it comes into Minotaur, well, we better put on auto and all of this. So again, she's not quite strong enough to one-shot the wave, but because her AoE comes in with her A1, because she's frozen them with the A2 that she opens with, she does get through the waves pretty quickly. And then I think the really nice thing here is she is giving herself a shield, right? And she gives herself increased attack. So she actually gets through this stuff pretty quick. Like the boss is smacking her, but that shield keeps her very safe. She's ripping through, the shield stays on, and bam. So I actually thought, funny enough, bad campaign farmer, not great. But when it comes to Minotaur, she's actually kind of a beast at Minotaur farming. So if you want to get through quickly, She gets through it quickly, and because she's shielding herself, she actually she actually gets through it very safely. Again, I think Supreme Athel is a bit better for this, but Athel's actually not bad. So, if you're a low spend, free to play player that farms all their stuff through Minotaur, having a solo Minotaur farmer, pretty good. Definitely not something that you'd be super excited about, let's be honest, with a Void Legendary, but at least it's something. Let's dive in here. I just thought this was fun. I wanted to see if she could 3-man or solo the faction war. So I tried it solo. It doesn't work. She's just gonna die. I did try her with Godseeker and Eerie, and they can do it together, but it's very slow. So I wouldn't really recommend it. Godseeker can't quite keep her alive. You need pretty good gear as well. But if we put in 3 champions, so we put in like a Deacon Armstrong, look at this. Supreme Athel is coming in. She's doing good damage. And then she comes in with the A1, which starts hitting an AoE as well. Unfortunately, this guy on the left is immune to freeze, which is a little annoying, but not the end of the world. But, I mean, she hits plenty hard enough on these waves. She locks down the waves. And yeah, she provides, like I said, her own increased attack. She provides her own shield, which is going to help her stay alive. So here we go. She's going to come in. Kaboom. Smacks these ads, freezes the ads as well, so locks them down. And she actually will kill the ads pretty quick. In fact, I suspect if we target the boss, let's target... No, we won't target the boss. Let's just leave her to do her own thing. So remove the targeting. I think if you target the boss, because she's going to keep freezing the side ads, and every time she A1s, it's going to hit the side ads pretty consistently too, and she'll actually get through it pretty quick. But you can see she's fairly smacking here. It's not bad. It really isn't bad. So here we go. She's put her buff on again. She's come in, bam, and she's frozen them. I think I set her AI for this to prioritize doing her A3 first, to really up the damage of her AoE. You see right there, she targeted an enemy that was frozen instead of targeting someone else. So the AI, not great. That's pretty poor, to be honest. But there we go. The boss goes down in 133, which, believe it or not, is actually a record. So in terms of this, getting through wave-based content, brings her own increased attack, actually puts out really good damage and crowd control, helps herself stay alive as well. Actually very good for that. I think the probably the most tangible way you can see that is coming into Doom Tower Hard. If we throw into a pretty budget team that I've liked to use here, let's sort of see how she does, right? So we come in. I've shown versions of this team before. I call it like the budget team for getting through Doom Tower Hard, right? Because Doom Tower Hard waves are very, very difficult, especially when you're progressing on them. You need a lot of crowd control to get through, really. And Athel here is kind of fantastic for it, but we've got Ursula the Mourner. She's going to be putting out decreased attack if the enemies ever do get a turn to lock that out, and she brings a really good speed aura. You can use other champions here, like when I initially showed this team, I used, who is better, I used Yoshi the Drunkard, who was sort of a fusion around that time, but that was a long time ago now, so I won't bring him into this team anymore. Just not accessible enough, really. But yeah, we've got Ursula. Ursula also brings us the increased defense and strengthened for our team again if we get hit, helping us stay alive and the AoE revive. And increased defense will up the damage of Syl and Vizix, which is nice. Then, of course, Syl and Vizix are 2 login legendaries that everyone gets. They bring AoE crowd control, which is just fantastic. And then, of course, Archmage Helmet. He's the portrait of the channel for a reason. Amazing epic. He brings AoE stuns, speeding us up. And incidentally, he brings us crit rate for Athel. And Ursula brings us increased attack for Athel as well. So I actually, for this run, we actually have Athel prioritizing her A2, right? And then she does her A3. Really is just a way, mostly, to get back to her cooldowns. At least that's what mostly will happen. We shall see. This is pretty rough. I think we have a block revive right there from the Foleys, but we should still get through, hopefully. But yeah, what does Athel bring to this team? Well, she brings the AoE freeze on a short cooldown. Again, if you have it synced up so that she starts with her A2, her A3, you just use it as a cooldown to get back to her A2. She has actually a very short cooldown on an AoE freeze, Void. 100% chance, which is really good. She also brings herself increased attack, which is going to up her damage if you don't have an increased attack champion. She actually puts out really good damage. She gives herself a shield to keep her alive. So like you can see here in this first wave, she opened with her A2. She goes into her A1. Sorry, her A3, right? Gets an extra turn, does an A1, and she's going to be right back to this A2. She is pumping out the the crowd control. Look at this. Bam. She's into another AoE freeze and putting out really good damage. So again, this is sort of, it's progression content, I would say, but getting through the waves of Doom Tower hard is pretty tough. This is a progression style team where you're all about crowd control. She fits in my opinion, very well here. She puts out very good crowd control and yeah, provides her own damage increase and provides her own survivability. I actually think for this content, very impressive. Now, of course, this is not super relevant content to anyone that's, you know, beaten it. If you've beaten Doom Tower hard, you're not really going to care about this. But I think it's just important to point out there's going to be plenty of folks that get this champion early in the game. And I think it's kind of silly if, you know, all the videos are saying she's absolutely sucks and you go, oh, she's useless, I'm not going to use her. I want to like actually have a proper guide out so you know where she is good. And this is where she is good. She's genuinely actually really good at this. Genuinely really good. So if you're progressing through this stuff, it matters. And hey, it's certainly possible at some point they could add Nightmare Doom Tower or whatever. And again, Supreme Athel could be very good for getting through that in a pretty quick way. So there you go, right? You can see her A1 does some stuff. We don't have any other freeze champions here. You could absolutely bring in other champions like Torment and all of that and really get a lot out of Supreme Athel's A1. I'm not doing that for the purpose of this video. I just wanted to show you this budget team that will just pretty much rip through all these waves. It might not be 100% on the really difficult waves. What you would have to do is basically do, maybe you might have to do really hard couple of floors on manual just to make sure that, turn off the auto climb, just to make sure that you've got your abilities when you come to a new wave, right? So for example, if you get to a wave with like Sifi in it in the enemy team and you've got no stuns or provokes ready to go, she's going to get block debuffs up on the team and you're going to lose. So you might have to manual it there. I've done videos on this before, but you'll see it. But you can see from this, Supreme Athel cranking out the damage and the crowd control actually works really well. And you're getting through these floors in a very reasonable time. So she is genuinely good for this. Now, it's time for the fun part of the video. I haven't tested this. I've got some stuff prepped up and we're just going to give it a go, guys. We are going to give it a go. Okay, this team's a little crazy. Let's start off with maybe this team right here. This seems more reasonable. Let's give it a go. So what we're going to do, I've put together a few different teams for us to try out. Just doing some weird, different things. I'm not sure if we're faster than Tyraku here. Let's give it a go. So with this team, what we've got, Arbiter obviously going to turn meter boost us. We've got Yumiko then to lock him out. Gurgo is going to come in, strip some buffs and freeze the enemy. And then Supreme Athel is going to buff up and nuke them. Let's see if it works. We might just get outsped and lose. That's okay. We can switch to one of the different teams. We'll try the speed team against a couple. Tyraku's probably fast. Okay, he's not faster than me. We try to freeze. He's actually frozen two of them. That's fantastic. We lock them out. Supreme Athel, she's coming in. And what happened right? That was weird looking. So the damage really wasn't all that crazy. I'm not sure exactly what happened. The A1 did pretty good damage though. That was very strange. We seem to not really do any damage to them. They might be fairly tanky champions, but she's certainly doing enough damage. She's getting the job done. And the nice thing is she gets smacked and she is surviving the hit. That certainly looked weird though, didn't it? I mean, I guess she doesn't really hit that hard necessarily. But that seemed odd. I don't know exactly what happened there, but I mean, we killed him. Okay. Let me see. Oh man, there's some really nasty stuff here. Okay, that's fine. Let's, we try this team here. And they might just outspeed us. This looks more likely to outspeed us. They've got very awakened champions and whatnot. Yeah, okay, so they are faster. Okay, we're super dead. So we're just gonna die here. You get outsped, you're just gonna die. That's the way it's gonna work. So against that team, doesn't work. It's a speed team we've built. We're just gonna get wrecked. This guy, Cold Brew's gonna outspeed me as well. We try against this tanky team here. Yeah, let's try against these guys, right? Let's see what we can do. Stone Skin likely to show up. Could be a problem. Yeah, Stone Skin. So we have to pray that Gurgo strips. He actually managed to strip. Oh, but then block debuffs went on. That's not good. All right, we put them on cooldown. Athel, she's going to try her thing. Actually hits pretty hard right there. Did good damage. And she survived reasonably well. Actually, well, she got taken out in the end, but survived okay. And in the end, that wasn't actually that bad. The freeze goes in. We got a little bit lucky, I'll be honest, at the start there with Gurgo stripping those buffs off of Cupidus. And we got a bit unlucky with the freeze expiring, I think, and block debuffs going out. But we managed to get through. So, I mean, damage-wise, for a speed nuker, she's doing okay. She's not the best, but she's okay there. Not blowing me away in those teams, but she's a reasonable option. Let's go in against this team again. Oh, wow, it's a 6-star. Yikes. That's scary. Let's try something different. Let's try something. Okay, let's try something different. Let's try something like this. We're going to go a little crazy here. I'm not sure if it's going to work against this team. So what are we going to try to do? So we're going to bring in the Yumiko. We're using Yumiko because, I mean, we're up against crazy stuff, okay? We're bringing her in to lock them out. She's bringing an accuracy aura here, which should help. We're going to bring in an Uko to strip off their buffs, to hopefully leave them vulnerable to freeze. And then we're going to bring in a Brogni. This is sort of a go second team. And Brogni's in bolster set, so hopefully give us a big shield. So let's see this. So we've got a nice, pretty big shield here from Brogni. You can see the size of that. They can't strip it off. Will it be enough to keep us alive, though? Or do we just die? So we mostly just, well, some of us survive. So it's not the worst thing in the world. We could revive her straight away. Might be a good idea. We've actually landed one freeze right there. That's quite nice. There we go. We actually got a freeze. And he's got block debuffs on. I'm not 100% sure how that happened, but you know what? We'll take it. I'm also not sure what to do here. Do we go to the revive or do we just go for a strip? I guess let's strip them off first. Oh, sheep. Oh, the sheep. Of course, I should have done the revive. Should have done the revive. Oh, no. He's going to start running rampant over us right now. I mean, I guess you just shield yourself up, Brogni. I think we're in trouble, boys. He's killed himself against the Brogni shield, but he's come back stronger than ever before. Oh god, I think Uko's in trouble. He's been revived with crit rate and increased attack. Uko survives. Been put asleep. He's been woken up. He's been slept again. Okay, you know what? Let's just leave this fight. There's only so much Sifi one can take at a time. Only so much you can take at a time. Sifi, okay, I will say let's maybe avoid some Sifis. She's a problem. She removes freeze with her passive. It's quite annoying. Let's try it against this team here. This should be kind of interesting. So let's try it against this team here. So they've got a lockout with this coming in at the start, but the shield's somewhat protecting us. Somewhat. She gets taken out by the A1 right there. He's coming with the AoE. Man, it is nasty. That's a lot of damage. Let's get our revive off. Of course, Lydia blocks it. We can reset. Maybe put their stuff back on cooldown. We'll try to get the revive again. We do have stone skin, so we can. We come back with the shield. Uko's going to get taken out, and he's not coming back. Let's see if we can make anything happen. She's been feared. Put Hex on Arbiter. Try lock her out. Arbiter stunned herself, thanks to Yumiko. Kandervon's taken out another one. I'm not convinced this is a great team, guys. Not convinced. Okay, good. We got past the fear. We got the crit rate on. Let's try it. Boom. Oh, is it happening? Oh, she's outrun her shield, though. That's not good. She finished him off the A1. And we did it. We actually won. Sneaky, sneaky. We had to manual it. But that's not bad coming in with a sort of weird go second team. We definitely want, I think, another reaction piece on Yumiko for this to... on Athel for this to work so she doesn't really die. That's an intriguing team. Let's try this other one here. So like a pure frost team. I think this could work really well here. We've got Torment. We've got Pixneal. We're going all frost. Let's give it a go. We're actually running the Athel aura to up her damage. So let's see. We've got bolster set on Pixneal and that's right, on 2 people. Can you believe it? And on Brogni as well. Unfortunately, we've been stunned because we're not running stone skins. That go second help is, well, in this case, not going to help. We could go for the freeze, but it's not going to do too much. Let's just put increased attack on and we get a weaken on her. Oh, it actually gets redirected and we got stripped. That is annoying. Let's go in with the provoke from Torment. Here we go. Go for the provoke. Protect us a little bit. Torment's going to take some hits, but he's doing just fine. Let's put the block debuffs on now and a bigger shield. We'll go in for another AoE freeze. We've now frozen up the enemy team. It's looking okay, I would say. Let's try to remove this stone skin from him. We did remove it. Lovely. We've got a nice big shield. At this point, yeah, I think we do want to put this on to escape that decreased attack. Then we go in for the nuke. And it's a big nuke. It just seems to do some weird double hits and stuff sometimes. I'm not sure why. We get perfect fail from Pixneal. Pixneal MVP. At this point, we can hit full auto. I think we're going to be just fine. Bit of a weaken there from Pixneal as well. Ooh, that's a big smack coming in. Athel is looking weak, and if she dies, she's a goner. Perfect fail going on will help her a little bit. Yeah, her A1 right there is not doing much if she doesn't have that crit rate, and she doesn't crit. Good hit there against him, and there we go. We took him down as well. Interesting team, right? With the big old bolster, double bolster champion trying to keep you alive. Basically, my idea here with this team is this concept of, you know, what if we bring in some crazy stuff for live arena? And you kind of have a double threat here, right? If they ban your Arbiter, let's say you're trying to do a speed team where they take Arbiter, well, Pixneal brings increased defense, so you've got a threat to kill them with Torment. But then Supreme Athel can also be a threat as well. She brings her own increased attack. Sort of an interesting option. Sort of an interesting option. Maybe these would be better in Stone Skin or whatever. But let's see. Any other sort of team we want to hit here? I really do think Sifi is a big problem. Oh my! We would try the horrible team right here. No, we really can't fight Sifi. I'd say Sifi is just gonna wreck us. We could try Duchess, I suppose, but Sifi is going to be bad news. Very bad news. Oh, let's try right here. Nice. MTG Jedi, putting together sort of a speed team. Let's see, full auto, how we do against this sort of team. So, unfortunately, we're going to get locked out, right, by their Yumiko. So we're locked out. We're not going to be doing any of our moves. At least we get the Veil for her. Her A1's really not going to do much, but we can hopefully maybe get some freezes. Oh, I guess Yumiko is kind of a hard counter too, right? That Hex is going to redirect a lot of the freezes. But it will also boost Pixneal. Funny enough, and weirdly enough, it will boost Pixneal. Because if Pixneal gets frozen, yeah, she's going to help us, right? She's going to unfreeze. We've frozen their Arbiter again. That's all we're sort of managing. Oh, there Elhain whacked us, but she's frozen. Okay, we've got to move. We've got to turn. We're in with a nuke. There's a weird animation with that. I don't quite understand what's happening with it. We managed to kill Elhain, but that was it. We just didn't do enough damage to kill the rest, I'm afraid. But, I mean, the freezes are going out. We're locking them down reasonably okay. Torment unkillable. That's nice. Pixneal, unfortunately, is dead and won't be coming back. Yumiko almost dead, but I'm definitely worried about this Supreme Elhain. Oh, and she takes us out. Takes us out. It was an interesting fight, though. That's an interesting fight. But, I mean, like, going up against this team, ban a Yumiko, and them putting together a team for live arena might be a little bit trickier. We're obviously going to lose this one. Let's leave there. We try the other version against this. Why not? That's kind of a fun team and something a bit more realistic to what you guys might fight. Let's try our Yumiko team. Well, our Yumiko team is also just going to get locked out, isn't it? So we just get smacked. What could we change? Not much, to be honest. It's kind of awkward, actually, with this team to make it work. I'm not sure what we could change. What could we change quickly to make this click, to make this tick? Ultimate Death Knight is just going to be a problem. And the Yumiko is just a really big problem. So I'm not sure what we can actually do. You just have to hope to get lucky and freeze the Yumiko, I suppose. Yeah, or have someone high resistance. Yumiko kind of wrecks. So there you go. I mean, yeah, I think that kind of shows everything we have to show. Supreme Athel, is she a thumbs up? Is she a thumbs down? To be honest, she's kind of a thumbs down, isn't she? Definitely not great. If she pops out of your Void Shard, I don't think you're going to be very happy. Like I've been saying, though, throughout this, when it comes to Arena right now, I mean, she's obviously really hard countered by Sifi. She's really hard countered by Yumiko. She gets hard countered by a lot of stuff. That's extremely common. Cleansers, we didn't fight Mithrala, but Mithrala's a problem. Duchess putting out block debuffs is a problem. All of this stuff is a problem. Really the only way I can see this champion, like I said, being good in Arena, I think when it comes to live Arena, where there's a draft phase and bans are going to be a thing, maybe there's going to be limited format tournaments and stuff, they might say, like, whatever. Tolarians only. And when you start going into more limited formats, this champion could actually start to shine. So there is some hope for you. If you pull this champion, if you get this champion, you're probably going to be extremely disappointed. Well, she might do something good at some point in that live arena. Might not be entirely useless because she brings her own increased attack. She's bringing the CC, and that gives you flexibility in a format where there's bans, stuff like that. That's kind of where I'm at. She is obviously, as well as we've said, she is very good when it comes to waves for Doom Tower. She's very good for that too. But you know, Minotaur farming and Doom Tower waves is not a very exciting place to be for a Void Legendary, that's for sure. So yeah, that's sort of what I think about Supreme Athel, but I wanted to show you what she can do. Have a bit of fun with some Frost-based teams. She's okay. But yeah, I think for me, she's certainly at the moment the worst out of these 4 legendaries. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.